High School in Maryland. This happening at Great Mills High School, which is in St. Mary's County, Maryland, 2 hours south of Baltimore.
The school posting a statement saying this: there has been a shooting at Great Mills High School. The school is in lockdown. The event is contained. The sheriff's office on the scene.
The St. Mary's Sheriff's Office tweeting, quote, "There has been an incident at Great Mills High School. Parents, please do not respond to that school. Report to Leonardtown High School," which is nearby. 1,600 students attend Great Mills High. According to WJLA, just as we just heard, it is contained. However, the school on lockdown. There apparently has been a shooting. The nature, we do not know.
When the corporal was asked if anyone was hurt or if anyone was in custody, he simply said, "We have no idea at this point." So we'll follow that. School shooting, which is very early in the day.
But the key is the word contained. So they've got it contained. We just simply don't know what that means.
So that's happening in Maryland. Also in Texas, we've had breaking news this morning, and it's a Fox News alert. A package addressed to Austin, Texas, blowing up inside a FedEx facility overnight.
All right, the FedEx Center is in Schertz, about an hour outside of Austin, where they've seen 4 explosions this month. And that's what we thought was a good reason to put Todd Pyro on the ground. That was prior to the 5th bombing that took place around 1 in the morning. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Brian, that's a great point. All right, a couple of quick updates here that are important. Earlier today, the AP had reported that there was a connection between the bombings in Austin and the FedEx bombing. Feds tell Fox they are not yet ready to make that conclusion. Second, AP had also reported that there was a woman injured. ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, says nobody was injured. And also the AP reported that there were shrapnel and nails in the bomb there at the FedEx facility. Again, ATF says they are not yet ready to make that conclusion. As for what we do know about the FedEx bomb, the package blew up when moving from an upper conveyor belt to a lower conveyor belt just after midnight. That package was addressed to Austin and was being sent from Austin. The FBI, ATF, and San Antonio bomb squads all on scene. Police asking people in that area to stay indoors while they investigate. And the Austin police chief just tweeting moments ago for people here in Austin themselves to continue to remain vigilant. Keep in mind, we still don't have a motive. We're still trying to figure out what happened here in Austin. Nobody should let their guard down, quite frankly, anywhere in the state of Texas at this point. Stay with Fox on air and online throughout the day for what really is a fluid situation that seems to be changing by the hour. Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
Hey, Todd, have you found that the authorities have been cooperative with you, standoffish? I remember in the Las Vegas shooting in the beginning, it was a lot of cooperation, and then there seemed to be a lot of anger. How would you characterize officials now?
So far, everybody does seem to be cooperative. But again, as we've seen in numerous of these incidents, as you start digging a little deeper, sometimes, not always, sometimes skeletons get uncovered. Not saying that's a situation here by any stretch of the imagination. It is all way too early for that. But so far, in response to your question, so far the cooperation has been very good.
Well, that's terrific. Todd, going back to the heart of your report regarding the early Associated Press reporting.
Right.
Let me make sure I understand. You're saying they came out with some things that at this point the authorities are not willing to go out and say that that is accurate.
Right. As with regard to what Fox has been able to confirm with these individuals, the ATF specifically said, look, nobody was injured. At this point in time, we are not able to say whether there were nails or shrapnel in this bomb because this is a FedEx facility. It's a warehouse. There's going to be a lot of nails, maybe not necessarily shrapnel, but there could be those things in and around. So ATF isn't yet ready to make that conclusion. But obviously, the big conclusion that the AP did make was that these were connected. And it's clear, we have to make this clear, the feds have not yet or are not yet willing to make that connection to Fox. This is such a fluid situation. This thing happened, the FedEx explosion happened at 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 your time there on the East Coast. So we're talking less than 8 hours ago. A lot of work needs to be done. And let's remember, these bombings started at the beginning of March. we still don't have too many clues, or at least clues that the authorities are letting us know about as to if they're any closer to solving this.
Surely. All right, Todd, we thank you very much. Apparently, Federal Express has issued a statement. We are being emailed it right now. We have not yet received it, but one of the early indications is that the FedEx package that exploded, the early indications were that it was sent from a location in Austin, Texas, and then it went to the depot there in Schertz, Texas, and it was at some point during the transfer process where it went from one conveyor belt to another, and that's when it exploded. Ultimately, they say they've been able to track it down. It came from Austin and apparently was addressed to someplace in Austin, Texas.
Meanwhile,
we did get the statement from FedEx. It says, we can confirm that a single package exploded while in the FedEx ground sortation facility early this morning. One team member is being treated for minor injuries. We are working closely with law enforcement in their investigation. We are not providing any additional specific information about this package at this time.
Which makes sense because they don't want to reveal too many things. There's always a possibility, and we've been speaking to some of the FBI experts in the past, it's a possibility this is unrelated. And we heard Todd say that that is a possibility as well. It could be a copycat. We simply do not know at this stage.
Right. We don't know, but we are following it because the whole country is focused on what's happening down there. I think it's fascinating and so heartening to know that a bomb like this could be on a conveyor belt in what I imagine is a crowded area, even though it's early in the morning where you wouldn't think that it's that trafficky, and only one person has minor injuries. Originally, we thought it was more. Originally, we thought there would be a concussion and people needed treatment, but the person that was hurt never had to leave the building. And right now you wonder how FedEx goes about their day, especially in that facility, because you have you have things that have to be delivered, but who's going to go to that conveyor belt? And that conveyor belt went through all the systems. That package went through all the systems and got to that point. How do we know what other box out there has the same box or is going to go through the same screening devices and it's going to arrive to that conveyor belt, and who could be sure that you want to pick it up?
Well, that's what everyone's so worried about. The first three, the first one was a man who was killed, 39 years old. On the 12th of March, it was a little boy, or I should say a young man. He was 17 years old. He was killed, and a woman who was 40 was injured. Then on the 12th, you had another woman who was 75 years old. She was injured. And then on the 18th, just a few days ago, two men were injured, a 22 and a 23-year-old, during that device that exploded on the side of the road with a tripwire. And then you have this one, and to your point, Brian, it's very scary because now this one's being circulated through the mail. And it appears that whoever is responsible for this dropped it off with FedEx, either at a facility or at one of the drop boxes, apparently a day or two ago. And you've got FedEx workers who work around the clock because a lot of people send things overnight. Mm-hmm. And this was at a facility outside of San Antonio, and someone, I don't even know if this person picked it up. We don't know that information yet, or if it just exploded because it was dropping from the top tier down to the bottom tier on the turntable.
Yeah, on the conveyor belt. There are so many details we do not know at this point. Yesterday, 3 members of the Congressional Black Caucus called for federal authorities to classify the bombings as terrorist attacks and determine whether they are ideologically or racially motivated. That was before this bombing down in Texas at Schertz, Texas at FedEx. And the NAACP called them actions of domestic terror and called for vigilance and caution for communities in Austin, Texas.
Obviously, Governor Abbott and the President of the United States, it does matter. They have a great relationship. So there's probably great communication between them, especially when they were coming off the tragedy, which was the hurricane over the summer. Now they're saying that in Schertz, which is located 22 miles east of San Antonio and 73 miles south of Austin, is thought to be part of the series of bombings. In terms of this facility, this is a 100,000 square foot facility, so it is big. And I also know, too, the first is safety. I get that. But if you're FedEx operation, they have to have a system in place where you say safety first, but they also know this is devastating to their business. And they have to also say, OK, we have to keep calm. So not every packages still get delivered at the same time, being cautious. So at 1 in the morning, they had to make that corporate call.
Whoever's responsible for this is very brazen, because before there might not have been any evidence of him or her. There might not have been cameras in the neighborhoods when he's dropping these things off on people's front porches. But to go to FedEx, or in order to send a package, you have to put an address. It's more traceable than it would be if you just drop a box without a label on it on someone's front doorstep.
We had Terry Turchi on. He's the FBI agent, now retired, who helped discover who the Unabomber was, figured out that case. He said that he thought it was interesting that yesterday the police and authorities down in Austin, Texas, asked for whoever was sending the bombs to get a dialogue started with the police so they could know what their beef was with whomever they were targeting. Terry Turchi said he felt that the fact that the person has changed their mode of delivery to now sending it through a package delivery service, that was the message.
This almost reminds me, sadly, of what happened after 9/11 with the sniper situation, where people were afraid to pump gas after a while. They're afraid to do traditional things that would leave them exposed in an open place, because even though it's unlikely, we found out it was two people, that two people could actually inflict massive damage on a bunch of people, from restaurants to gas stations. We didn't know. So people altered their lifestyle, and in Austin, they're altering it. Now they're looking in San Antonio and southwest of Austin and saying, well, maybe I should rethink how I get my mail.
People are scared to pick up their packages, open their packages, and people now are scared to send their kids to school. And that brings us to another story. We have a Fox News alert, an update on a school shooting, a high school in Maryland. We know that the ATF is heading there to the scene at Great Mills High School. This is in St. Mary's County, Maryland, 2 hours south of Baltimore.
Yeah, the school is posting a statement and just saying this. There's been a school shooting at Great Mills High School. The school is on lockdown. The event is contained. The sheriff's office on the scene.
St. Mary's Sheriff's Office tweeting, quote, there has been an incident at Great Mills High School. Parents, please do not respond to the school. Report to Leonardtown High School, which is nearby. Apparently, 1,600 students attend Great Mills High. According to WJLA, whatever has happened there at the school that is, as you can see right there, is on lockdown, it has been contained. And that is the good news. We simply do not, however, know the nature of what happened.
Well, we do know this. We learned from each and every one of them. And I imagine in Maryland, far from Florida, but we know it's been almost a month to the day from the last shooting, the horrific shooting that cost the lives of 17. And just exploring what we know went wrong last time, I think authorities are pretty clear that you don't wait on the outside. You go in and you secure the site immediately. And the one thing that has emerged with the little information we have is they have secured the site, and they think but they have not talked about a shooter being in custody.
Right. We don't exactly know what happened in this situation. They aren't giving us much information. We know the school is on lockdown, and parents are being told to go to Leonardtown High School. Do not report to Great Mills High School if your children go to school there.
Right, exactly. That is curious. That would just suggest they simply don't have a really good handle on what happened. We've heard some rumors. We're not ready to report at this stage what may have happened. However, the key is that it has been contained, but it is curious and probably the right thing to do. All the parents who are listening about what is going on there at Great Mills High School, and they hear there's been some sort of incident with a gun, they want to go and pick up their kids. But the police are saying very clearly, whatever you do, don't come to your kid's high school. Go to Leonardtown High School instead, and that is where you will get information about whatever happened there in St. Mary's County.
And as we look to find out what happened, what went place, I know one thing. So many different communities across the country, after Broward County thought not to be susceptible, was susceptible and not ready. So many immediately had plans in place should it hit their town, their community. I hope Maryland was one of those schools.
I'm just looking at a lot of local news reports. They all have different accounts of what's happening. Multiple injuries. One is reporting shooting, possible casualties. None of this is confirmed. This is all local news in that area.
Right. For the most part, all we know right now is there's been a shooting. It has been contained. Stay to Fox News Channel throughout the day for the very latest, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.